We are failing as Christians. Today in the United States, we have a crisis. Never before in the history of our country have we been so far away from God. Every passing day, we get further and further and further. Who is to blame for that? We have violence, seems like everywhere. We have all these groups who claim to be hate groups, claim to be peaceful groups. But the truth is that all the groups are fighting in the streets. People are dying on both sides. Who is to blame for this? Even on social media, we claim to be friends and like each other. And we like what we each say to one another sometimes. But even that has turned into something different. It has turned into everyone spewing what they think is right and wrong. And if you disagree with if you disagree, then you're blocked or spammed or hated on, or it's just a mess. And who is to blame for that? Our children, the future leaders of this country, of the world. They're growing up in a world that does not know God. I've got 2 kids of my own, and my wife wants to homeschool them when they get to that age. And the reason why she wants to do that is because the schools are a mess. And even some Christian schools out there claim to be Christian schools. They're just as bad, and if not worse in some cases. Who is to blame for this? Well, the truth is, we're to blame, as Christians. This is our fault. This is what happens when you get comfortable. This is what happens when you have a cushy life compared to the rest of the world. We all have our hardships. We all have our struggles. Sometimes it's financially. Sometimes it's something else. Sometimes it's just being nice to one another. But the struggles that we have here in America, for the most part, there are some exceptions. It's nothing. It's like the meme, first world problems. There's a lot of truth in that. There's a lot of things that we feel are end of the world type of scenarios, but they really aren't. We get upset if our favorite TV show gets canceled, or we get upset if some small thing breaks on our house, on our cars, when really we should be thankful that we even have those. We've got it really good here in the United States for the most part. But that is making us lazy as Christians. We go to church, we have our cliques, we talk to people, we're nice, we smile, we shake hands. But there's something that we're missing. There's a lot of people out there that are struggling, and well, as long as everyone in our church group is good, and to be fair, and at my church, if there's a need, it is fulfilled. But sometimes we struggle going outside of our church walls. Sometimes we struggle about caring about everybody. And we do not need to forget that Jesus died for everybody on the earth, not just Christians. He died for us sinners too. He died for everybody. And I believe we're forgetting that. In Matthew 28, this is, the end of the book of Matthew, if you don't know. And Jesus is about to go back up into heaven. This is after he's been crucified, after he was raised. And some of his followers are there, and they're like, you know what? What do we need to do? What's next? And Jesus says, you know what? Go out there, make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you. And behold, I am with you always to the end of the age. This was the last thing that Jesus asked us to do. And yes, he's saying this to his followers, but he's saying this to everybody. We all need to go out, make disciples of all nations, spreading the gospel and baptizing them. And okay, you may give $20 here to the mission group of your local church, and that's fine and all. There's a need for that. But what are you doing personally? Are you preaching the gospel at people at your work, at your school, even the people that live with you? I've done a poor job in the past of preaching the gospel with past roommates that I've had. And now that I'm married and with kids, sometimes I fail that as a father and as a husband. We're just too comfortable. And there's also the story of in Daniel chapter 3, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They're about to be thrown into this pit of fire because they refuse to worship an idol. And this king is about to throw them in this real bad mess. And this is what they say to them. They say, "Oh, Nebuchadnezzar," that's the name of the king, "we have no need to answer you in this matter. If this be so, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. But if not, be it known to you, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up." So what they're saying here is that you can throw us in this fiery furnace and our God will deliver us. But if not, even if he does not come and deliver us and save us from this fiery pit, we will still not worship these idols. This story goes along with so many things in our lives. All of our struggles can be wrapped up in this. If we have faith, God will deliver us. But if not, we will still have a life with him in heaven. But if not, we will still not worship anyone else but God. And it talks about idols here, and people think that, oh, well, we don't worship idols. We don't have any golden statues that we have around town or whatnot. And, well, some religions do that. But what about the idols in our hands? What about these phones? What about the idol being our comfy lives? What if the idol was us being lazy? What about that? I challenge whoever is watching this, I challenge you to get out of your comfort zone. Throw away that security blanket and get yourself out there. There is hate on the streets just about everywhere you look. And I'm pretty sure that there's a upcoming protest in Lexington because they're taking down some Civil War statues. And you know what? I really don't have an opinion on the statues one way or the other. It was probably a Democrat that put them there in the first place. It doesn't matter. People will fight over the silliest things. And we need to be putting ourselves out there. We need to be spreading the gospel in the streets. If if there's a protest near you, go out there, grab some of your friends and start singing on the streets. You know, my mother, and I was too young to remember this, but my siblings have told me that when they would fight, my mother would start singing. And everyone was just quiet. They would stop. How could you fight when your mother is singing Amazing Grace or Angry Words? I think we can do a lot of the same stuff by singing, by preaching in the streets. And you know what? It may get a little dangerous and it may get a little uncomfortable. And you may have some people get in your face, but God will take care of you. And if not, people will hear the gospel. I challenge us all to get out of our comfort zone and actually spread the gospel. Thank you. See you later.